everybody, my name is Demonic Angel Lily, and welcome to an amazing little game known as Moonflower. So this game is actually a BL, which, fun fact about me, I have never played a BL before. For seemingly obvious reasons. But this game is made by Cats and Lily Pet Studio. Absolutely amazing devs. The game looks absolutely fucking gorgeous. And so I've decided to go ahead and I'll use this as the first of our little Freaky Friday series. And I'll be playing exclusively dating sims. Now, a couple things to know before I start stream. First of all, I am eating chips. Sue me. I'm hungry. But we are also not doing just one game today. So what's going to happen is I'm going to stream 2 hours of Moonflower, see how far we can get. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a break, go get myself some dinner, and we're going to come back and we're going to stream 2 more hours of a game known as the Retrospection of Tomorrow. Now, the Retrospection of Tomorrow is not a completed game, unlike Moonflower. But I believe the first 2 chapters are out, and then, well, first 2 parts. There's multiple chapters in each part, as far as I can tell. And then the third part will not release until like sometime next year, at which point the game will go on sale on Steam. However, for the time being, you can play it on itch.io. Now, both of these games are made by solo devs, so please go ahead and support them wherever you can. Moonflower's Cats and Lily Pad Studio. The Retrospection of Tomorrow is made by Cherish. Which I can probably include a link to the game. Moonflower you can find very easily on Steam. Itch.io, though, can be a little bit harder to do. Barbecue Pringles. Gotta love them. So, Moonflower, like I said, it is a BL. Who you're seeing on screen right now, I know is the main character, who appears to be a cat boy. Intriguing. We always love a good cat boy. And it is, exactly as the title says, a kind of like murder mystery as far as I can tell. You get invited to some sort of magical fair, and then somebody dies, and then you gotta help figure out who died and who done it. But yeah, I shall stop talking. Let's go ahead and get right on into it. I say that, and then all of a sudden, my mouth is still full of stuff. There's really no good way to do this with my model. Oh my god. And I just... okay. OBS just updated and it's doing some weird-ass lighting shit. Let me just... Oh my god, this is hurting me. This is pain. Just move me over here for right now. Okay. The potion bubbled gently under the man's watchful eye, occasionally sending up tiny wisps of white steam that smelled faintly earthy. Skylar reached for it. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a humble concoction of water, cucumber, and aloe vera. And yet, it interested him greatly. The desired result was nothing more than simple ointment, meant to heal minor burns completely when applied directly to the skin. However... Oh my god, there's Skylar. Okay. Moving myself back over. 5 second fly. Where I have feet, you just can't see them. However... Is Skylar adorable? Ooh! Can I live in this workshop? This looks like a fucking dream. Look at how beautiful that is! There's magical potions everywhere. Crystals. Can I live here? See, like, if I were... My dream, honestly, like, my absolute biggest dream would be to own a bookshop. This would be, like, the type of vibe I'm going for. Maybe a few more plants, but... Oh my god. Yeah, y'all just gonna have to suffer without seeing the words. I do apologize for that. He smiled to himself as he emptied a small bowl of crushed sylvite into the mixture. The concoction began to freeze before his very eyes, the sudden drop in temperatures sending quickly spreading... Oh god. Sending quickly spreading stress fractures across the glass vial. I cannot read today. Everything inside turned brittle in an instant, and it only took an instant more for the entire beaker to shatter with a deafening crack. Skylar watched on in fascination. A reaction like that wasn't unheard of. In fact, it's exactly what he was aiming for. An ointment that would continuously cool a burn site over an extended period of time. If it worked as expected, then it would no doubt become an incredible tool for the kingdom. However, simply dropping the sylvite into the potion, which in itself was a mineral only rarely found in the dried-up ruins of ancient seas, caused a far too violent reaction. The freezing was too quick and far too powerful. But if I can achieve a similar result with a more readily available agent, something widely accessible that anyone could create with supplies found in their own home. He was certain, without a doubt, that the sylvite would act as a stepping stone, a bridge towards a potent cooling balm that anyone could create. But for now, all he could note down was that sylvite was far too dangerous to be applied directly to the skin. For now, anyway. With deft hands, Skylar picked up an empty bottle and poured water into it. It sat still within the glass, unmoving until he reached for the feather of a bird. The ingredients for a healing potion that's particularly potent and effective, though once again difficult for a common person to create. After all, not everyone had an abundant stock of bird feathers just lying around. All he needed to do now was add sand, fire powder, and eucalyptus leaf. 3 things he had already in stock. Before he could gather the ingredients, a knock sounded at the door. Damn it all, visitors always come at the worst of times. Aw, look at him. Little angry cat boy. With a small huff, Skylar placed the bottle back on the lab table and took a moment to compose himself. He straightened out his crimson-red vest before heading towards the door to open it. Ooh, who is she? Olivia. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time. The perfectly put-together woman smiled brightly at Skylar. Her blonde hair was done up neatly in a ponytail. Wavy strands fell down either side of her face, framing her brilliant pink eyes. Oh my god, hello, Miss Queen. Gorgeous slay, hi! Looking good in that corset. The familiar sight of her made him smile as he stepped aside, allowing her to enter. Your Highness, you should have called in advance. Oh, she is a queen. Hi. How you doing? That's a little up and down. I honestly shouldn't be eating salty chips while I'm reading 2 visual novels tonight. My voice is gonna be dead in the morning. It's like my Valentine's stream. I'm gonna get to the end of it and I'm just gonna be like croaking out words. He all but bowed down to the woman, who simply rolled her eyes and hit the top of his hat lightly with her gloved fingertip in response. Walking past the deeply bowing Skylar, she crossed the room, her hands carefully folded in front of her as she inspected the man's work. With a smile, she turned and looked back over her shoulder at Skylar, whose own gaze found hers instantly. Your Highness? And what should I call you, then? Would High Alchemist Skylar suit, good sir? If it pleases the lady, she may call me whatever she wishes. She laughed lightly as his response, as if the very notion was completely and utterly absurd. Stop with that nonsense, Nika. Hearing the use of his first name, he immediately raised an eyebrow, until he saw the smile that lit up the young princess's face. Oh, she's a princess. Princess! If it were anyone else. You come here to annoy me, my dearest princess. Are you looking for something specific from your loyal servant this fine morning? Words do not work. I'm so sassy. Whatever I came here for, it certainly wasn't for you to annoy me, my dear alchemist friend. With a chuckle at her own jest, Olivia walked forward again to come face to face with Skylar, standing only the tiniest bit shorter than he did, She looked up into his eyes with a sly smile on her lips. See how foolish we sound being so formal? I'm not a princess here. I come as your friend. Skylar returned the girl's warm smile and nodded in response, letting out a small sigh of relief as he accepted the shift in conversation. I know. So what brings you here then, Olivia? Come to request a potion? Or hear a story while you're passing through? None of those this time. She shook her head, her hair swishing softly behind her, like a silk ribbon caught in a gentle breeze. I like the imagery, honestly. Then what do I owe the pleasure? Skylar dusted his hands off and leant against the table he'd only just been working at, giving Olivia his full attention. The young woman simply smiled, an apparent desire to extend the mysterious circumstances behind her visit, although Skylar already had a theory as to why she was here. What are you working on over here? Something new? She gestured towards the cracked vial with a raised eyebrow as she spoke. I can't help but notice it's, well, broken. Is that supposed to happen? You will not avoid my query with distraction, Olivia. But if you truly want to know, then yes and no. How curious. Both yes and no? Please elaborate. The result of the broken vessel is expected, given the ingredient's volatility, and yet it is also not the desired result. The royal's expression morphed into one of amazement. Her eyes widened as though he was speaking about a secret only shared in whispers. Inquisitive as ever, her thirst for the adventure of discovery was surely inherited from her queen mother. Perhaps just humoring her for a short while will do no harm. Wait, I'm just now realizing his arm, too. It kind of looks like he has a porcelain arm that's then been, like, cracked and then filled with gold. It is actually really, really cool. There's this, Japanese style of art. I forget the name. Hold up. Kintsugi. Japanese thing called kintsugi, and what it is it's this, thing where, like, you break a vase, you repair the cracks using gold. So it's like, you solder the pieces together using literal liquid gold, and you get this, like, really cool effect. But it also, like, applies to the symbological idea where, anything broken can be made beautiful once again. You know? Anyways, there's your, philosophy for the night. A knowing glint in his eye, he directed the princess's attention to the equipment she had been previously inspecting. Would you care to take a look? Her eyes almost sparkled as the realization dawned on her that she was about to get a first-hand lesson by the famed alchemist himself. You would show me? You truly don't mind? Do you wish me not to? He knew very well she would not reject such an opportunity, often scolded by her minders as a child for pestering the alchemist to share their secrets, something she had never quite outgrown. Now that you've teased me with such a thing, you are required by law to follow through. Olivia folded her arms over her chest and nodded her head, her stubborn declaration betrayed by the fact that she nearly vibrated with excitement. By law? How preposterous. Is that so, dear princess? I can't say it's a law I've ever heard of, but who am I to disagree with royalty? A hearty chuckle escaped him as his attentive student pretended she couldn't hear him. Pretty. Once more. I'm not gonna speak that, I'm gonna choke. Once more, Skylar repeated his experiment, though this time being somewhat more sparing with his ingredients, lest he cause a royal incident that couldn't simply be explained away. And once more, the vial began to splinter. Satisfied now? Now, princess. That's enough stalling. What is it that you came here for? Surely you have better things to do than watch a glass break. Much to no one's surprise, the woman ignored his second question. Tell me, why does it do such a thing? Such a destructive and immediate reaction? Unexpected but not desired? How so? How do you make it give you the desired result? What is the desired result? She had 1,000 questions on the tip of her tongue, all prepared to be instantly launched at our feline featured friend. Expected but not desired indeed. Frowning lightly, Skylar returned to his rested position against a nearby desk, his ivory hand making a subtle ting as he retrieved a forgotten tea from the desk's surface. Oh my god, so that is his arm! Oh, fucker has a porcelain arm. I love that. Oh. Also, whenever you guys hear me pause, trust it is just to have a little bit of a snack and drink some water. Stay hydrated, folks. You won't answer? Sharing knowledge, not the purpose of an alchemist. Her face drooped in a pout, a tried and true tactic on anyone else. I seem to recall an unanswered question of my own. The princess sighed and cleared her throat before continuing. Fine. You know why I'm here. I've come to ask you to the Moonflower Festival. I'm already submitting the required materials for the ritual. You need not come here to ask. Oh, please. You know what I mean, Nika. She cut the man off sharply, lowering her eyes in a playfully contemptuous way. Why would I come all the way down here to ask for potions that I already know you're submitting? You're not the foolish type. Skylar sighed heavily as she continued talking, shaking his head slightly as he gave voice to his own thoughts. He spoke without even thinking about it, merely stating the obvious. I'm not going. His tone was direct and definitive. Even he hadn't anticipated the sharp edge his words had once spoken. I mean... Wait, it would mean the world to my father, and to me, of course, if you would at least consider it. Mean a lot to a king whose council barely tolerates my existence. The thought he would keep to himself, however. Olivia slowly bat her eyelashes towards him, a trick she often used to get what she wanted from potential suitors, guests of the kingdom, and even staff that waltz around the palace halls. However, it was also a trick he knew well, and gave no effect to the High Alchemist. Skylar had known the princess for over 20 years, and he'd even given her pointers in the past on how to deal with unruly people. Still, it didn't stop her from trying to play coy with him every now and then, though never with any real success. Skylar raised a brow and grinned, giving Olivia a look of disbelief as she made one last attempt to coax his participation into accepting her invite. You truly have mastered the art of subtly getting what you wanted, my friend, but I will not put my personal comfort on the line just for appearances. You know how those nobles get. His nose scrunched up as he said that word, like he had just smelled something foul. There's nothing like the stench of high society nobility to make an otherwise perfectly good day turn sour. Sorry about that. Wait, I erased that. They swarm me because I'm a felinus. Felinus? Felinus. It's rather vexing. You can hardly blame them. There aren't very many left of your kind, so they're entranced. I do not think they mean to harm you in any way. Really? What about a Lady Ogreen, who always demands to be allowed to touch my tail? What of her? She offered the man a weak smile, but pursed her lips to speak nonetheless. I'll be by your side. You can be my personal guest. I dare any noble to speak out of place with me in their presence. She grinned wider now, this time bearing some sparkly white teeth. Her eyes twinkled with a challenge behind her long lashes as she looked back at Skylar. Duke Vargas owes us gold for a bridge we are funding for his nation. And Duchess Pellegrine needs our favor to help push forward a proposal she's drafting regarding magical law. Neither will push against me, lest they fall out of dear father's favor. And what of Lady Ogreen? Hardly a problem, like a fly that need only be swatted away. She made the motion with her hand, swatting away an invisible bug. The princess gave him a confident nod as if to say that such problems would never trouble him when he was at her side. This is a momentous occasion for the kingdom, but also for you and your studies. You deserve to be celebrated for your work. In person. And I could use the company, if I'm being honest. She offered up the last part with a sheepish smile. A small, intrepid thing that was enough to pull at Skylar's heartstrings, more than her batting her eyelashes ever could. Fuck me! What do you say? Oh, please, Nika, join us. Skylar shut his eyes tightly, placing his index finger against the bridge of his nose. He inhaled sharply, drawing strength to give his answer. A simple and meek answer. Fine. Fine? The young princess's eyes lit up as she practically jumped up and down in place, leaning towards her longtime friend. Her cheeks were flushed pink with excitement, with a wide grin on her face as she stared at Skylar in disbelief. Are we sure that she isn't in love with Skylar? I swear, she's acting like she's secretly asking out her, like, longtime crush or something. Did I hear you correctly? You did, but if you keep it up, I'll change my answer. I'm doing this for you, but you owe me something in return. A favor. Oh, I found the full screen button. Of course, my resources are always at your disposal. You need just ask. I keep hitting F because I'm so used to having that as a dialogue button in games now, like thanks to Nikki. I think that I'll skip it forward. God, I'm hoping a nasal decongestant will help with this. What the fuck? And I will, one day. However, Skylar was positive that even if he were dying, he would use all of his resources at his disposal for even thinking of requesting a favor from the princess. She was a dear friend to him. Even more so, she was one of the few people left in the world he cared enough about to suck up his pride and let himself be gawked over for a few hours by an endless parade of high society nobles. Mood. A few hours is just a few hours. That's all it'll take to make her knight. Even if it means facing Lady Ogreen and her ridiculous demands. Honestly, though, first rule of any animal-based society, whether it be like animal-human or just full animal, never touch their ears and tail without permission. That's just like basic rules. Come on. Hopefully, I won't regret it. He raised both his hands above his head in surrender as he said those words out loud, as well as to himself. He turned back to his workstation with another sigh as he began sorting through some potions on the table in front of him. Crap. Oh, God. A piercing shriek reverberated through the laboratory. Tiny projectiles rocketing through the space at an alarming speed. Ah, shit. Duck and take cover, kids. What was that? Eyes wide, the girl retreated from the assorted equipment, as though her very life flashed before her eyes. Fucking hell! A sight Skylar could not help but smile at. What did you touch? Nothing! Of course she touched nothing. Forgive me, princess, but an opportunity such as that so rarely follows the delivery of a request such as you've had. Skylar approached the offending bench, picking up the remainder of the destroyed bottle. Ah, it would appear our little experiment has decided to demonstrate what happens when one does not pay close enough attention to their surroundings. Olivia placed a hand over her racing heart, taking several deep breaths as she attempted to calm herself. You did that on purpose, didn't you? She wrinkled her nose at the alchemist. I am quite certain I have done no such thing. Skylar shook his head. Olivia narrowed her gaze at him in suspicion for a moment longer before her expression shifted. You jest, princess. If I were to do anything to put you in any sort of danger, the punishment would be severe. I don't wish for my head to be in a basket, particularly. I suppose you're right. Composing herself, Olivia approached the felinist cautiously. Today is not the day for such a fright, Nika. Skylar chuckled in response. Indeed, you are correct. Perhaps a lesson in indulging the requests of royalty? I don't know why, but the music is reminding me of... Okay, it's gonna sound like really weird. It's reminding me of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Like, one of the, areas, like, by the beach or in the forest. The music is reminding me of that for some reason. It's making me nostalgic. An offended gasp at his playful suggestion. I wouldn't go that far. An unexpected reaction from a harmless exercise. That's all. Incorrigible. Exactly like her mother. As you say, princess. Wait. I know this is a murder mystery. Please tell me she's not the one who gets murdered. I would quit the game. Skylar glanced out of the corner of his eyes at the young woman as she struggled to contain herself. It only took their eyes meeting for her to erupt into giggles a moment later. I do so enjoy your company, my dear friend. Could I have not just been blessed with a normal fucking nose that I didn't have to blow every time I read for more than 5 minutes? I swear to God. I suppose your presence is acceptable. Olivia playfully swatted at the older male's hat once again. Rude. Without me, you'd never leave this strange place. Without you, I would never have returned to this palace at all, Princess Olivia. Oh, did she say palace, not place? She would never know that, of course. Strange is subjective, don't you think? Putting aside talk of that, though, I had a query. How fair is the town preparations? Skylar brought a finger to his lips, deep in thought of the busy markets in the town below, which are probably even more busy with the upcoming celebration. The town? I can only assume it proceeds smoothly. I have not heard any reports otherwise, so I'd like to believe that means it's going well. Good, good. Does something concern you, Nika? Concern? Of course not. I thought to venture out below to replenish some of my supplies. However, it's fucking ass. Olivia giggled knowingly. It was already obvious to the princess what was going on. However, you didn't want to get stuck engaging in celebration preparations. Skylar nodded solemnly. I think you should go. Nika, you might even find the markets fun. You do know what fun is, don't you? Lest I repeat myself, being gawked at by the citizenry is not my idea of fun. That's ass. I need to, no, not touch the F button. F button is hereby off limits. Olivia sighed, though her smile never left her face. At least you can go. Skylar offered her a sympathetic smile. Being princess and moonseer came with many restrictions. What's a moonseer? While he was treated with fear, intrigue, and sometimes lust, ooh, the kinky freaks, Olivia was a precious doll to be displayed and immaculately maintained. It was an unlikely friendship between the pair, but one born of mutual societal pressure. Father will be curious as to where I've been all this time. I cannot stay. However, it's been great fun, as always. Perhaps next time you'll be visiting for pleasure and not the request of work. Skylar offered the girl a sly grin, and she giggled in response, nodding along in agreement. Oh my god. An innocent little motion of pure joy he wished she would spare on others aside from him and a few other very special people. She had a wonderful laugh, like a light spring breeze whistling across a quiet glade after a long winter's nap. It was delightful, the sort of sound that filled any heart that heard it with warm satisfaction, despite whatever troubles or concerns they might have faced that day. The princess was indeed good company. She was pleasant to spend time with, quick to laugh at a joke, and kind to everyone who came in contact with her. Perhaps so, High Alchemist Skylar. With her parting words left hanging in the air between them, Olivia slipped out of the room once more. Skylar stared at the door for a moment before returning his attention back to the potion he had left on his table what felt like forever ago. An unsettled Skylar stood motionless in a deserted courtyard, worry etched into his otherwise soft features. He was apprehensive in a way that could not quite explain, more so than was reasonable for a simple festival. I promise, people, I will learn to read here in a few minutes. There was something sharp on the wind. The aura of the palace felt almost wrong somehow. Perhaps he was simply overly worried for his beloved princess. Something he felt he was the only one who actually, genuinely cared for her as a person, beyond her title and birthright. Would that you were here, Vera. Your little girl could desperately use the support of her mother tonight. Ah, Mommy's dead. Understood. The feelinist's ears twitched. Slightly louder this time. Not even a moment to my own thoughts these days. Can I help you with something? A knight stood before him, sudden shyness falling over his features as the alchemist turned his attention to him. Aww, look at the little cutie patootie! Sir, the princess has sent summons for your attendance at the commencement of the Moonflower ball, sir. Bleh. For once, my inability to speak actually comes in handy. Fuck. Does he fear me, or is this stutter a natural one? Well, I suppose it matters not. It would not do to cause him to fail his mission by refusing. It seems the princess has doubts that I'll keep my promise to her. I cannot say, sir. I jest, sir. The knight looked alarmed as he scrambled to answer, his words getting stuck in his throat. Wesley Siddle, my lord. Has no one asked this poor fool his name before? Siddle, as in Knight Marshal Garrick Siddle? His son, sir. I see. Supposed to be the younger son of that pompous oaf. So the lower-ranked son gets sent on an errand. Well, Sir Wesley, you may tell Her Highness I will be along shortly. I wish but a few more moments to prepare myself for... Gestured weakly towards the ballroom. Yes, Lord High Alchemist, sir. You managed to say that without a stutter. Sir? Skylar glanced at the man. He was fidgeting and shifting his feet as though he had something to say. Oh, you better not ask to touch the tail. There's something else? No, not exactly, sir. I just... this is getting bothersome. Speak freely if you have something to say. The knight took a breath and nodded. I'm surprised to see you in attendance, sir. The, staff and security were told you wouldn't be coming. It was not my first choice of activity tonight, or even my second. You may thank a very persuasive princess for the change of plans. Sir Wesley smiled at that, all nervousness melting away. Oh? This is an interesting change. The knight is not interested in the princess. Oh, the shy knight and the overexcitable princess. I can see it. She's amazing, isn't she? She's not like the other nobles. She actually cares about the people around her, learns the names and families of all her attendants, even when the other nobles tell her not to bother. I don't blame you for not wanting to be around them. Not a fan of the nobility, then. You're not what I expected either, if it's okay to say, sir. Skylar's... God. Oh, I hope to God I'll be able to get through this. My fucking nose and throat do not like me. Okay, we good? Will my throat let me speak now? Debatable. Skylar shifted his stance to better see the young knight before him. Fluffy brown hair, freckles, and pale green eyes. He was cute by human standards. You couldn't help but wonder if Olivia had actually ever met this boy before, or he would have surely known about him if she had. The visual inspection appeared to alarm Wesley even more, the boy rushing to explain himself. Wait, that came out wrong. It's just... Guards were taught to leave the alchemists alone. They do the important work, but... They are skilled and talented individuals in natural and scientific studies, but who have remarkably little social abilities. Wesley couldn't help but laugh. Yes, my lord, exactly that. But more so... Well... You're, not human. His statement was blunt and matter-of-fact. He knew exactly how the Knight Marshal in particular felt about him. Son of disaster. Non-human entity who must be closely monitored and little interaction given. His role as High Alchemist granted him solely by the demand of the Queen. Wesley nodded apologetically. Treated with either fear, disgust, or, possibly the worst of all, something exotic to possess. Well, as you can see, you have nothing to fear in that regard. Me, however... He glanced towards the outer doors that would lead them through the main hall, throne room, and into the ballroom tonight's opening ceremony was being held in, his frown deepening the longer he looked. My lord? Skylar snapped out of his daze. Sir Wesley? Might I escort you to the ball on behalf of Her Highness? Huh. Seems Siddell's the youngest is quite sweet after all. You aren't worried about being gobbled up by the hungry nobles? No, sir. My older brother is the only one of them. Is the only one of interest to them. I think I will be quite safe. It would be my honor, Lord High Alchemist, sir. The young knight looked up at him with a mix of innocent sincerity, slight worry of rejection, and pure hope in his eyes. He wasn't the tallest himself. This young man was even shorter than he was. Perhaps there's hope for Olivia's guards yet. You can simply call me Lord Skylar. Lord High Alchemist is far too long and pretentious. The young man nodded in acknowledgement, in agreement. Very well, Sir Wesley. It would be my honor. The knight bowed deeply before turning on his heel and marching towards the door. His enthusiasm was almost blinding. The muffled sound of a large crowd reached Skylar from behind the intricate wooden doors of the middle ballroom. Here, the celebrations would begin. The aristocrats would arrive to enjoy some light refreshments alongside their noble companions, before being welcomed by the king and the other members of the court. Mixing and mingling was like a game of chess to them all. Every piece carefully planned out to maximize influence while maintaining political alliances. The celebration would last 1 week, Ending on the night of the silver moon, where the Moonseer would conduct a ritual to imbue the Moonflower with energy from the rare moon. The Moonflower title drop. What is the importance and significance of this story? The humans knew little about the why of these rituals, why each piece of this carefully crafted ceremony had to be just so. They simply learned to keep enough to themselves. They simply learned enough to keep themselves in power, for frippity floppity's sake. A power that was winning more and more each and every day. If the ritual failed, their very way of life, maybe their lives themselves, would be over. Oh my god, Wesley's such a cutie! Hello! Are you ready to enter, Lord Skylar? No, but there are many things in life we must do before we're ready. Skylar fiddled with the collar of his vest, adjusting and readjusting, knowing full well none of his actions made any difference. A soft rumble came as the ballroom's doors were open, revealing a scene filled with glittering lights, laughter, music, and conversation. I do find it curious, Sir Wesley. The young man glanced at him confused, maintaining a vigilant guard over his assumed charge. This is the rear door to this particular ballroom. Ah, yes, sir. I thought maybe you would prefer to enter more discreetly than the main entrance. Indeed. I owe you my thanks for your forethought. Princess Olivia has a fine messenger at her disposal. I shall be sure to compliment your performance. After I have once more expressed my disapproval of being forced to attend such an event, of course. The knight smiled, unable to hide his blush at the thought of being complimented to the princess. Of course. It was my honor to escort you, my lord. Should you need anything else, you have but to ask. Another deep bow and the knight was gone, consumed by the growing crowd filling the room. Surprisingly sweet, all things considered. Skylar made his way to a presently unoccupied corner of the large room, his eyes drifting over the growing crowd. One thing about parties hosted by nobles he could always get enjoyment out of was the fashion. There were simple dresses, plain colors and modest styles, all the way up to dramatic gowns and experimental uses of items attached to bonnets. Feathers and tulle, layers of sparkling stones, glimmering fabrics, seemed every person present was dressed with intent. Gentlemen wore their finest suits and top hats, many sporting intricately designed monocles and expensive pocket watches. Each couple appeared to be attempting to outdress all others attending, to the point he wondered if there was some kind of prize for the most inventive outfit. It was a festival, after all. Perhaps it was an actual planned activity. As the venue filled, so too did Skylar's tolerance for the noise and crowd dissipate. He had his fill of the people watching. The grandeur may have been a fine sight to behold for many, but not him. It was easy for him to understand why people would want to celebrate during the Moon Fair. It was a festival specifically designed for celebration, and a rare one at that. Not a single other person in this room was likely to have been alive at the last one. Even the royal family, whose connection to the Moonflower granted them extended lifespans, had all perished since the last celebration. Damn. The only soul to have seen the previous festival was himself. Ooh, so how long did they live? How old is this guy? People enthusiastically gathered to see the magic of their kingdom replenished, to participate in history itself. Still, it didn't make the idea any less repulsive for the felinist. You know, now that I think about it, he's kind of starting to remind me more of Freerin. Skylar could feel the anxiety and disdain rising within him. He understood the excitement. He had felt it once himself. A mere child at the time, he had been in attendance at the last Moon Fair. He had witnessed the week-long fanfare, the rituals and the merrymaking. Through all the glamour and breathtaking fascination, the picture of his mother's smiling face, the woman he adored most in the world. A sparkling smile, comparable to the crystal chandeliers, was always on her face. The smile he had not seen in nearly 90 years. Jesus fuck, that is one old cat. I know cats can live for a while, but Jesus Christ, not that long. A fact that had followed him every day since, but one that he hadn't had to experience so viscerally in years. A fact which only compounded his worry for the princess. Snapping his eyes to the doorway, Skylar began his search for the lovely Princess Olivia. Had she not coerced him to come, he would have simply left his alchemic contribution with the royal advisor and been done with it all. Now, where could this troublesome princess be? As much as the felinist complained about being convinced to attend, most of his bluster was merely for show. He would have been in attendance either way, just much less obviously. With his grand plan to protect his princess laid to ruin, he couldn't help but smile to himself as he scanned the crowd. If she did not have her unwavering sense of adventure and independence, he would have been sorely disappointed. Both their mothers were much the same. Passionate, powerful women who possessed the strength and willpower to break through any barrier presented before them. His own was a driving force, a zeppelin with no brakes, and Queen Vera was similarly a fierce and headstrong individual. Neither had been seen in quite some time. Unlike his mother, however, Queen Vera's fate was much more in the dark. You'd only pray she was safe. Oh, she's not dead, she's just missing. Ooh. How she would have loved this festival. To see her little girl fulfill such a momentous role with such unshakable determination. After what felt like an eternity, even to him, his eyes finally landed on the woman he was searching for. A figure of absolute confidence, Olivia descended the main staircase, the crowd parting to watch her in awe. An adoration that would ruin anyone else. Several nobles gingerly stepped into her path, all wanting to be the first to greet her. Each one she politely thanked and excused herself from. She was looking for her escort, and could not keep him waiting a moment longer. Olivia. Skylar shook his head, an exasperated expression settling over his features. She just has to stir the nobles, doesn't she? Luckily for him, or perhaps unluckily, he could never quite decide, his keen sense allowing him to hear each and every word. Shifting from his spot of mild safety, he caught the eyes of the princess across the room, her face lighting up in recognition. Pushing aside the shocked nobles, the princess made a beeline for her favorite official. Why are you there? I've been looking all over for you. Oh, why there you are. Shit. Have you now? You seem quite happy conversing with well, whoever that was in the bird's nest. Olivia made a great effort not to break into giggles at his fashion critique. It's quite awful, isn't it? Indeed, but what would a festival be without questionable style choices? Shall we make our rounds? The princess linked her arm around Skylar's, her hand lightly brushing against the pristine ivory of his exposed limb. The fascination with that arm is nothing if not baffling. She does not even realize her actions. Do we have to? We do. Skylar groaned as he scanned the area. Very well, if we must. Come, it will be over before you know it. Doubtful. He muttered this under his breath. The slight tilt of her lips told him she heard him quite well. The pair venture out into the crowd, Olivia maneuvering with an effortless step, her experience and charm leading their way. Dozens of noble families, servants and prolific members of the town flocked to the opening ceremonies, each hoping for a private audience with the royal family. 1, 2, 3. Hour after hour passed as Olivia and Skylar floated between attendees, exchanging small talk and pleasantries, each encounter more exhausting than the last. Most elected to ignore Skylar, their focus on the charismatic princess instead, something he was more than happy to allow. Others made attempts at polite small talk, exchanging a few words with the High Alchemist before running out of topics to fake interest in. Finally, the pair were left with two groups. The town mayor, with him an unknown elven scholar, and the family of one of the ministers. Mayor Rutherford was one of the few aristocrats who Skylar actually liked. He was a humble man, a merchant and farmer by trade. His family had a long history of friendly relations with the Fey nations, making it a secret mission of theirs to care for the land in ways that benefited the town and the Fey, who lived secretly among the fields and forests. Hi, Moldyke! Delightful start to the celebrations, Your Highness. You even managed to get this grouch to attend. The gruff town leader chuckled, a gentle elbow digging into Skylar's side. Yes, the gloat all you want. I'd like to see you attempt to say no to royalty. Ha! Only you would try and resist the princess, my friend. And he did try, let me assure you. I shall go and greet the minister before it's time for our final stop. I'll leave you two to chat. I'm sure you have much to discuss. Skylar nodded in agreement. Small mercy to avoid that. The mayor and Skylar both bowed to the young royal as she separated from the group to attend to her other greeting. Say, Skylar. Skylar glanced at the man. Who's this young chap, anyway? Who? Skylar followed the mayor's eyesight to the elven scholar that was standing with their group. His eyes went around the ballroom to take in the sights, and made no move to react to the mayor's question. He doesn't know? Oh, hello! And who might you be? I'm afraid I do not know. I was assuming he was connected to you. Me? Why would I have such a connection? I've never met this man in my life! Maybe because you've been standing together chatting? The two men stared at each other in disbelief before shaking their heads and turning their attention to the young stranger. Wait, is this the love interest? Short raven hair, a deep blue overcoat balanced over his shoulders, jade earrings dangling from his pointed elven ears. His eyes were a hypnotic dual color, kind of color that appeared to shift in hue as he gazed around the room in wonder. Sometimes an azure blue, sometimes a vibrant purple. It's like watching a petal on the wind, swaying and flipping in the breeze. The felinist found himself entranced by the way they shifted. He had never seen eyes of such a fascinating color before. Yep, this is definitely the love interest. Well, has someone caught the eyes of the elusive Lord Nika Skylar? Ayo, Maester Mayor, about to play wingman here with the elven mysterious stranger. The alchemist snatched his focus away from the elven stranger, a look of near horror on his face. Whatever do you mean? I was merely... Skylar could feel his stomach sink as he felt the chubby hands close themselves firmly around his tail, an excited shriek piercing his sensitive ears. Oh shit! No, Moonaba, please not her. Anyone but her. It's Ogreen. It's just Skylar, my darling kitty! Lady Ogreen. Skylar wanted nothing more than the floor to open and swallow him whole. Anything but being forced to endure that woman. His hands would only tighten if he made any attempt to move or escape her grasp in any way. Bitch, get your hands off! That's extremely rude. Rutherford quickly bowed and excused himself, mumbling something about forgetting to snuff the fire crystal on the stove. Wait! Oh my god! You absolute coward, come back here! Lady Ogreen, please restrain yourself! The woman rubbed her face against the distressed feeling of his disheveled tail. Oh my god, leave my poor boy alone! Princess! He was completely and absolutely stuck. Experience told him Lady Ogreen would not let go on her own, and he could not simply shout for the princess to help him. I would. My lady, your hat is simply wonderful. Wherever did you get it? With a simple distraction, it was enough for Skylar to remove his tail from the greedy hands of the noblewoman and retreat to an unoccupied corner of the ballroom. Thank you, handsome elf. Untimely intervention. We must make an effort to thank him later. The elven stranger had not said a word the entirety of the time they had been in each other's presence. He could not help but wonder why he had chosen that moment to finally speak up. Skylar let out a heavy sigh as he leant against a nearby wall. an exhaustion overcoming him that was unique to the slow release of a tense anxiety that gripped his entire being. With any luck, Lady Ogreen had been truly distracted and he could enjoy a moment of safety from the crowd. Ooh, not quite. The favor you owe me will be a great one. I was promised no tail touches. My sincerest apologies, good sir. Hey, he's back. Hello. Ripped from his rest, the voice of a man reached him. It's him. Then where's? The stranger smiled at his surprise. You're quite safe, I assure you. A young knight came to check on the disturbance and report the situation to Her Highness, the princess. I expect her reaction will be quick, and she will join you once more shortly. The man stepped closer, concern filling his colored gaze. Ooh? Putting that aside, are you alright? No, that's not an answer one can freely give. I am significantly better the further away from that woman I am. Forgive my candidness. That was rude. Your intervention was most timely, and you have my sincere thanks. The felinist bowed deeply to his elven protector, merely smiled and shook his head. Nika Schuyler, High Alchemist of Ashmere. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. The taller male bowed in return, but did not offer a name. Have you attended the Moon Fair before? To anyone else, the question would be preposterous, but an elven life was just as lengthy as a felinist, both fae of different shapes. Are you It's just wonderful, from the fascinating fashion to the way these people interact with each other, and the decorations. I have never seen such a display of beauty. The food and drink is plentiful, the words are traded as freely as water traveling down a stream. 1,000 questions rushed through Schuyler's mind at the sight of the man's eyes glistening as he watched the ballroom in amazement. Oh my god, he's adorable! It certainly is a spectacle. Though it has made me wonder, what's it all for? What? Wait, do you even go here? Schuyler stared at the man, dumbfounded. He was truly and utterly lost for words. What's it for? Yes, I have gleaned this is the first of 7 nights of a celebration. I am yet to fully grasp what purpose it serves, however. The stranger tilted his head in confusion, looking to Schuyler for his answers before once again returning to his people watching. What a fascinating man. Schuyler had never met someone who captured his interest so organically. Realistically, he had merely existed in front of him. He had not done or say anything particularly interesting, and yet Schuyler found he struggled to look away from him. Ooh, boy's crushing already. Perhaps it boiled down to the connection between fae. All had some latent connection to each other through the natural magics they shared. This felt different, though. He felt he had met this person before. Oh? Okay, honestly, you're probably gonna learn his name eventually anyways. And personally, I am a little bit of a sucker for that whole, oh my god, we're gonna dance and spend this entire wonderful night together, oh my god, wait, no, we're leaving, I don't know your name, trope. So, we're gonna ask him to dance. Schuyler shifted his position nervously. I can't help but notice he seemed interested in the dancing. The man glanced back at him, his eyes alight. Very much so. They move with such rhythm, and each knows exactly what the other is doing. They feel like they're the only important thing in the world. Would you like to give it a try? What am I thinking? You're thinking that you have a crush on this man, and I'm gonna help you shoot your shot. Nika! Your princess has arrived, it seems. The elf bowed deeply to the pair. No! And in the time it took for them to register the action, he had disappeared like morning mist on the wind. God damn it! I tried, Schuyler. I really tried. Oh, he left. Unfortunately. Aw, he's disappointed. Who was that? I do not recall ever seeing him before. Not at any royal functions, or even around the city. I'm sure there's many people here Her Royal Highness has never met nor seen. I do not know, however. He made a very clear point to not offer his name to me. He wouldn't tell you? Skylar shook his head. He found himself both flustered and vexed by the encounter. Who exactly was he? So preoccupied with the mysterious stranger, the felinist failed to see the wicked smirk pass over the princess's face, a gentle hand tapping him on the forehead. She knows! What are you doing? Me? No, the garden gnome over there. Of course you! With a sweep of his arm, he removed the intruding hand, folding his arms across his chest in protest, an accusatory eyebrow raised. I've never seen you so distracted. I thought perhaps you'd fallen ill. Facetious as always, my princess. Say what you mean, princess. Olivia crept closer to him, a mixture of both excitement and slight worry on her face. I mean exactly that, Nika. I've never seen you so distracted by someone before. Did something happen with that man? Nothing happened whatsoever. Olivia's face changed again, and this time he could not fail to see her wicked grin, even if he had wanted to. Did you want it to? She raised her eyebrows suggestively, her entire demeanor ready to receive the ultimate gossip. Olivia! Did I? The princess giggled, her eyes twinkling with amusement and mischief. She leaned forward just an inch, slowly, like a cat teasing a mouse. You deny nothing. Never mind any of that. Skylar whipped his hand dismissively, his heart hammering away in his chest at the prospect of being caught. Being caught? Nothing even happened! I've been handled and leered at quite enough tonight. Are we done? Her playful grin gave way to one of remorse. Please, forgive me. I did not expect such an extreme reaction from Lady Ogreen. Even Minister Siebert was disgusted by the rapport. I'm sure he found it very entertaining. He believed it? I don't think he wanted to. The knight who delivered the report seemed to have good standing, so he accepted it with ease. Knight Marshal Siddell's youngest son, Wesley, I believe, if what our mysterious stranger said is to be believed. Lord Siddell? She gasped as the name registered in her mind. He seems like a fine lad. Around your age, I would wager. I was unaware he had another son until I met him earlier, when he sent him to collect me. I sent the Knight Marshal's son on a collection errand? Indeed you did, princess. Ooh. I assure you he was most amiable to provide assistance to you. Quite a pleasant young man, actually. Look at Skylar wingmanning the princess over there. Olivia walked in several circles around her elder companion, her face wrinkled in thought. What troubles you, princess? Never mind. How about I grant you another favor for my slip-up? A total of 2. So she has been thinking of how to make up for her failed promise. Vera, your child is as troublesome as ever. I'll settle for a dance instead. I certainly can't have you owing me twice. That is far too much power for a single person. Olivia paused, as if to ponder the offer for a moment. A dance will suffice. Skylar scoffed in response to her tone. It will suffice? The girl in front of him let out a short giggle, light and airy. You know, it is truly an honor to be accompanied by you, on or off the dance floor. Yes, it truly is. Skylar tipped his hat downward and offered his hand to the princess. We have one more person to check in with. Then, we can dance to our heart's content. Don't give me that look. I cannot have my tail grabbed any more today, my lady, for fear it would come straight off. This person would never be so callous. So you say? I do, yes. You're to meet the most important, certainly most noble man we both have the pleasure of knowing. Skylar sighed. He already knew exactly who Olivia was alluding to. Is it the king? The king! Yes, daddy! Olivia nodded. Yes. Father wanted to speak to us both before the ceremonies begin. Must he? I mean, no disrespect, of course. However, I'd hate to waste his time. My potions are of no concern to him and quite simply understood. As the only one among us who has actually attended a moon fair before, and one of his esteemed subjects, I'm sure there's much he wishes to speak with you about. My voice is starting to hurt. Ugh. Olivia held her hand out and beckoned for the felinist to join her. Come along, Skylar. Now should be a good time for him to steal away. The pair maneuvered through the crowd, Olivia stopping every so often to curtsy to people who called out her name. For one so young, she has an exemplary grasp of statecraft. As expected, the king wasn't hard to spot, and Skylar's gaze locked onto him after only a moment. One would think he'd always have a crowd surrounding him, but it was fascinating to see the opposite effect. People were standing a distance away, cautiously awaiting the king's invitation. Had they not been summoned, they could only look on in awe and wonder. For one who exhibits such intense buffoonery, Eamon truly is a fascinating and charismatic monarch. King Eamon Dunn, husband to Queen Vera Leth and father to Princess Olivia Leth. Is this a monarchy? Like, well, I was just a monarchy. I mean, like, serving the queen, not the king. Oh god. I have never been so thankful before to have a sore throat relief Mucinex on hand. Hashtag not sponsored. But if I'm gonna keep doing these visual novels, I would love it if they would sponsor me. Oh my god. The reason for differing surnames is no mystery. Oh my god! I was actually wondering that. The royal line belonged and stayed with a female bloodline. Called it! Queen Vera refused to relinquish the name of her ancestor. King Eamon was the type of noble who was raised to be a king. He was presented as one of the approved suitors for the then Princess Vera to choose from. The court was keen to once more have a king in place for the future, at the very least someone far easier to control than the fiery royal Vera. He relished in the attention, but did little in terms of policy and governance. Most of that fell to his elite ministers. Royalty is truly exhausting. I feel you, dude. An opinion he shared with the royal advisor, the ever-suffering position given to his own predecessor. A role which Skylar was certain he would never take, no matter how much the queen begged should he ever decide to move on from High Alchemist himself. Olivia waved her hand in the air, and quickly pulled it back to her side when she realized her actions. Very ladylike. She cleared her throat, fixing a coy smile on her face. The noise drew the king's attention, a look of annoyance at being interrupted so brusquely clear on his face. The look which turned to joy as he laid eyes on his precious daughter. The monarch muttered a few words to his current company, 2 elder males, before both nodded and backed away from the esteemed man. Oh my god, look at the king! Hello! God, the daughter looks like so much like him. Olivia. King Eamon wasted no time in making his way towards his daughter, embracing her in a dramatic twirl before lightly nodding his head towards the High Alchemist. Father, please! The girl giggled as her father lowered her once more. Olivia, my gorgeous love, where is your gown? Olivia shook her head. Wait, is that not... Wait. Can I, like, pull it up? No, I can't. Is that like a tunic and then trousers? Olivia shook her head. Kind of the mere introduction to the festivities. I wanted to save it for the main event. Save it? My dear, wear a new one each night. This is our moment to shine to the whole world. Skylar stood as far back from the pair as he dared without being rude. For all his flaws, he is a doting father, if overly so. Finally, the king turned his attention to the felinist. Hi, Alchemist. I was not made aware of your attendance tonight. I was under the distinct impression you had elected not to participate. Olivia managed to answer. The king affectionately petted her head to silence her. He wanted his answer directly from the man he had questioned. He knows exactly what has happened. I can almost guarantee he forbade Olivia from extending the invitation, and she did so anyway. That was indeed my original plan, your most esteemed majesty. Skylar bowed deeply, a formal and posture of perfect action, allowing the king to grunt in acknowledgement before rising once more. Olivia beside him wore a slight frown at the two men. Your indomitable heir, however, had a different plan. I forgive the lack of update to the guest list. Princess Olivia is quite impossible to decline. While annoyed at being talked into attending this garish event, he was simultaneously exceedingly proud of the competent young ruler Olivia was growing into. Indomitable was very much the correct word to describe her. She always managed to get others to see her point of view, to try whatever it was she suggested. Most were more than happy to follow her, though some others rejected the idea of such a strength of character. My god, Queen Slay. We support Queen Olivia in this house. The servants adored her kindness and lamented her free spirit. Yes, she is quite formidable indeed. I'm glad you agree. The king snapped his attention back to his daughter. But don't think that being a moonseer means you aren't my precious baby anymore. He reached out and kneaded Olivia's cheeks. Oh my god, I can picture him now. I'm picturing, like, Maka's dad from Soul Eater. Just, like, that overly affectionate and dramatic. The woman scrambled to escape his tight grasp. Father, please, you're embarrassing me. It was always funny to Skylar how Eamon made a show of age. Eamon tried his hardest to appear more worldly and cultured than the Alchemist. More regal, more knowledgeable, more grown up. In the same breath, refusing to allow Olivia the chance to grow and mature. The ageless appearance of the Fae often threatened monarchs in particular, faced with one who had seen before them and would see after them, all without a single sign of the passing time. Though years certainly passed by, only one of the pair saw wrinkles creased into their skin. I'm glad you have taken the time to come and speak to me, Olivia. I take it the festivities are to your liking. Everything is simply wonderful. You've done an incredible job, Father. I have never seen the palace or town so lively, or so heavily decorated. The girl giggled with wonder as she spun in a circle to look at the decorations. The Moonflower symbolizes a refresh to our society so we can continue to live the magical lives that we are entitled to. Entitled, bro! That's a dangerous word. Entitled. See, even Skylar hears it. As my daughter has chosen you as her guard for this evening, I trust you will keep my daughter safe. The emphasis on his words was direct. Skylar was granted permission for this night only. Not that he wanted to spend any more of his time here, that was for certain. Father, you're acting as if something can go seriously wrong. We both know the rites are harmless, though those are dangerous words to say, hon. Not harmless, everything could go wrong. Many of my requisitioned draughts are specifically designed to keep not only you, but the Moonflower safe during the proceedings. With good fortune, most will not be needed. My princess, I know you've been full of worry. Being named Moonseer is such a dreadful burden to have been thrust on you, but I am sure you will make me very proud. Olivia pushed his words away. All will go as planned, just as I've studied it. She's putting on a brave face, but I can see how nervous she really is for this big responsibility. King Aemon locked eyes with Skylar. Moonseer is a dangerous role. See that what happened to the last one does not happen again. Father! Ooh. Respond or ignore, oh my god. You know what? King's being a dick. Let's respond. Skylar's tail twitched in irritation. With all due respect to your position, your majesty, your last Moonseer passed before you were even born. Her role as Moonseer bears absolutely no relevance to her death. Although that death was likely orchestrated in an attempt to replace her as Moonseer. The king snarled at the villainess. His trap taken. Fuck. My, such aggression from one of my own lords. And I am to trust my most precious possession to one who would have such a brutish response to a simple concern? Nika? The face of the young princess was etched with worry. The typical placid feliness had never spoken back to the king before. Well, times are changing, hun! I'm not afraid to raise my fist against the patriarchy. The princess stepped forward to reach out to him. The death of the previous monsieur, his mother. Oh! Well, now I'm extra glad I responded. It's not a topic he enjoyed, even less so when spoken of by the elites at the palace. It was a story that changed the lives of his family forever. A story with far-reaching consequences by short-sighted fools. Calm yourself. He baits you. He always baits you. If it pleases His Majesty, I would take my leave and allow you to enjoy the opening ceremony with your beloved daughter. It does. You're dismissed, High Alchemist. I thank you for your service tonight. Skylar smiled and bowed once more to the royals before turning on his heel to leave. Okay, Daddy Dick! Fucking hell. These stuck-up kings, come on. The devastated face of the princess burned itself into his mind as the villainous alchemist exited the ballroom, with a determination rarely seen from him, stopping only to briefly whisper an instruction to not let her out of his sight to the young knight Wesley as he stormed past him. The cool night breeze helped calm Skylar's nerves as he leaned against a stone pillar of the courtyard. The courtyard was deserted, which suited him perfectly after the stifling atmosphere in the ballroom. You could hear laughter coming from inside, some sort of joke being shared between those enjoying the evening festivities. You absolute fool of a feliness. You will not quickly forgive such a show of defiance. You were already barely tolerated with the queen present, and even less without, now. Skylar closed his eyes and pinched the bridge of his nose. An apprehensive tension claimed Skylar's body at the sound of approaching footsteps reached his keen eyes. Is that supposed to be keen ears? Is he seeing sound? Dude, are you high? More company. Wonderful. He took a deep breath, focused on the sound. His steps were careful and light, but not exactly stealthy. Not Olivia. Good. But who then? Emerging from the stone doors is a tall, raven-haired elf. Not at all who Skylar expected to appear. You? The man offered a kind smile, his eyes shining. Inside the ballroom, he had already captured Skylar's attention. Out here, steeped in moonlight, the stranger was almost ethereal. Moonlight suited most people. He almost glowed. The smile turned awkward as the man scratched his cheek and averted his gaze. I saw you leave. You looked quite distressed, so I... He met Skylar's eyes. I followed you. I do hope that is not out of line. Normally I would say it was, but in this case... Skylar shook his head. Your company is quite welcome. Despite being the capital palace of Ashmere, Faeborn are few and far between. Skylar's eyes drifted back in the direction of the ballroom. A moment of peace settled in his heart as he recognized the song being played within. Florer? Bloom. Ooh. Skylar nodded. A sorrowful smile played on his lips as he listened to the tune floating from the ballroom. One of the only benefits to having superior hearing. If I'm correct, this particular composition is unique to the festival being held, isn't it? Indeed, although I find myself quite surprised you know of it. You could say this festival is quite the constant in my life. Interesting. He is familiar with it, yet what he said before would lead me to believe he was seeing it for the first time. Curious. I am intrigued. You seem quite well versed yourself. Skylar lowered his eyes. Moonflower wasn't his favorite topic, yet he felt this man genuinely cared for his opinion on it. This is not my first Moonflower festival. You would have been quite young during the previous celebrations, would you have not? The man motioned with his hand as if measuring a child. I was, yes. Very curious. Have they met before? Ooh. It's easy to forget just how much time can pass when time does little to affect you. Even so, you are correct. Compared to some of our brethren, I am still quite young. The stranger smiled knowingly, the smile quickly turning to sadness. You would have known the last Moonseer then. About that! The villainess stared at the man, analyzing his face. He knew my mother. Looking away, his ears drooped, exhaustion washing over him. I did indeed. Veronica Schuyler. Veronica! My namesake and mother. Oh wait, no, that's Angelica. Oh yeah, I'm seeing Hamilton next week, and that's gonna be fun. This song was one of her favorites, you know. Queen Olivia, her patron, I commissioned many years ago, just for her. And the elven stranger nodded. Hers was a spirit that blazed brighter than the moon. The stranger closed the gap between them. Oh! It's a little early for a kiss, don't you think? You must miss her. Cannot even imagine. So much that I can't put it into words. Alice is a constant reminder of her loss, my father's downfall, never more than present than now. Veronica Schuyler, the first true Moonseer, a villainous woman who achieved a status unheard of before or since her. By Fae standards, she was a mere child, equivalent to a teenager in human development, but her resolution was strong. She won the favor of the then Prince Olvia, the future monarch who would establish the official Moonfair Festival, in the Moonseer Charter, some 300 years ago. Veronica was single-handedly responsible for the revitalization of a dying fable, an action that brought fear, jealousy, and mistrust to her, in equal amounts to the respect and admiration she had earned. Her life was cut devastatingly short by an alchemical disaster which destroyed a vast amount of the palace, killing many. Oh my god. Including Queen Mara's uncle. Getting lost to memories past does no good for anything. To be honest, I fear for the princess. Perhaps it's just my own melancholy, and something doesn't feel right this night. I can't help but agree. He stared up at the moon, deep in thought. The stranger laughed, extended a hand in front of him, beckoning Schuyler to take it. It's as if he wishes to dance. Take his hand! Don't ask questions, just take it! Schuyler reached out to accept the offered hand despite himself. This is silly. No, it isn't! This is adorable! I did ask it myself earlier this evening. It would be rude not to accept now. Aww, look at him! A smile so joyous he almost vibrated. Okay, a smile so joyous he almost vibrated, overtook the handsome elf. Oh, baby! A single swift movement swept Schuyler into the immediate orbit of the taller man, the stranger placing Schuyler's left hand on his shoulder, his own position just behind the felinist's shoulder blade. Oh my god. Interesting, the form of a waltz. Fitting for this music piece, I suppose. Hope I remember how. The man pulled Schuyler close and intertwined their fingers. Ah! His hand was cool against Schuyler's porcelain limb. Is he able to feel with that? Was this difficult to make? Very beautiful. Transfixed, the stranger gently caressed the hand in his, running his middle finger tentatively down Schuyler's wrist. Oh my god, this is getting very intimate. Gold veins thread themselves through otherwise perfectly smooth porcelain, almost glowing under the moonlight. The elf chuckled as he spun the felinist with the quickening tempo of the music. A warmth trickled through the golden vein where the other man had touched, down through his shoulder, making his spine tingle. An energy that felt familiar, a sensation that caught him woefully off guard. What did he just do to me? Touched you. Whoa. The elf gazed down at the felinist in his arms. The villainist, suddenly feeling rather flushed, averted his own eyes in return. Step after step, the two swayed, twirled and circled each other. Two strangers dancing outside under the shining stars, a world apart from those inside. Circling behind Skylar, the stranger playfully swiped at his tail. Hey, hey! The villainist spun on his heels to face the offending elf, a sheepish grin on his face. Skylar shook his head. Peculiar elf wandering into a festival, one who won't even give his name, I will add, has now just pulled the tail of the High Alchemist to the crown. Oh my god, oh my god, they're so cute! Tails swishing happily, the two men circled each other once more, palm to palm. A silent challenging issued between the pair. So it's my name you want? Well, if you're truly so desperate, my name is... God damn it, motherfuckers! Fucking cock blocking, god damn it! The two men looked towards the direction of the ballroom, startled by the interruption. Curse you! The king's speech, I would wager. It would appear so. Shall we? I would rather not, but I suppose we must. I must confess to being curious what the speech will be. Nothing more than a show of extravagance, and far too much pressure placed on a young woman who simply wishes to heal the world of the injustices of the past. You are close to the princess. What is she like, truly? I hear she holds the title of Moonseer, but... Skylar gestured to the stone floor that would lead them back to the crowd. You have the right of it. Tasked with performing the rites, she has taken the burden of the title, but she has never actually seen the Moonflower. A shiver crept down Skylar's spine as his mind raced with the consequences of his troubled suspicions. The pair quietly re-entered the ballroom, sneaking past several guards who gave them disapproving looks. Skylar was certain he saw his new friend respond by pulling childish faces at them. He chose to ignore the act, though, for his own sanity. So much for, like, the picturesque, majestic elf. He got some personality. I like it. Also, this piano is gonna give me anxiety. Oh, jeez. The room was filled with people, and those were only just the most notable of the digitaries? The preceding days would only get busier. They weren't even using the main ballroom as of yet. 100 or 200 people were scattered around the smaller of the ballrooms, dresses sprawling into the free spaces around them, obscuring most of the floor space. Hushed whispers ripped through the crowd. Excitement, impatience, curiosity. All eyes were forward on the king as he prepared to make his welcoming speech. The king cleared his throat. A loud shriek rang through the ballroom as his projection apparatus engaged. Curse that thing. Ah! Ah! Okay, I wasn't expecting it to actually happen. Fuck. Sometimes the ingenuity of Steamspire goes too far. The villainess flinched, desperately resisting the urge to cover his ears with the noise. An eerie silence fell in anticipation of the king's words. Ah, there we are. Good, good. For a moment, I had wondered if this gadget of Steamspire had failed. He chuckled heartily, and the crowd clapped at his joke. That wasn't even funny. An attendant behind him shuffled awkwardly, his eyes trained to the visibly displeased Steamspire delegate. Relations are strained already, and he has to make jokes at their expense. Most likely user error, the man whispered under his breath, almost silent. Words meant only for the ears of the felinist beside him. Aw, see, they're already exchanging secret messages. Skylar struggled not to laugh at his commentary. Welcome, welcome to the Jewel of Ashmere, the most regal palace of our shining nation, my home. Peacock cannot help but flaunt that which has landed in his lap. Welcome to our most honored and anticipated festival, the Moonflower Festival. This will be the first time any in this room have had the delight of witnessing our esteemed event, except for two, possibly. I welcome you to the merry and revel in what I have arranged for you. The king made a dramatic display of opening his arms out to the crowd, the jewels in his cloak tingling as they jostled. I think you personally have raised even a finger to arrange any of this. The king made several more declarations about the wondrous and magnificent palace, the beauty of the palace, the talent at the palace this, the palace that. Each declaration was met with cheers and applause from the local nobility. Their favorite thing, after all, was to praise themselves. An event that only occurred once every century. Truly, almost none in this room had ever seen it, and would never see the spectacle if that was the Moonflower ever again. Those who had seen it felt very differently about the show that was being put on in front of them. They felt resentment, concern, and inexplicable sadness at the absence of the previous Moonseer, a feeling that wasn't reflected in the nobility's smiling faces. For those that had been a part of the previous Moonfair, wanted nothing more than the Moonflower to see the care it needed, to see it freed from the captivity it existed within. An event 100 years in the making. Yes, none here save a select few knew anything about what they were about to experience, or why they were here to experience it. This was the ultimate social event to most in the room, a party to be spoken about for years to come, a chance to enjoy the festivities and activities, and to consume some of the most exclusive food the kingdom knew. Most importantly, the Moonfair was a chance for the nobility to meet and greet those their circles would never typically cross paths with. The Moonflower was a fable, a story passed around the kingdom to explain the difference in their technology to that of other kingdoms. Magical items and augmented alchemy, a story that parents could tell their children. Very few legitimately believed the Moonflower was an actual flower, though it was a topic for much debate that never really led anywhere. Truly believing it was an immortal flower that generated magic was not a believable possibility for the masses. Not that I can blame them for that. The best way to describe the Moonflower was a fairy tale. A delicate princess locked away in a tower to protect her from the world. No one save the Moonseer and the ruling monarch was permitted to even see the magical flora, and lately, not even the Moonseer was permitted access. He would often wondered exactly how the common people viewed the event and what they knew of the flower, of the history of the kingdom. The official history was indeed drastically different to the actual events, particularly when it came to the acquisition of the Moonflower. What is the festival all about, you ask yourselves? The insurmountable power held by this prestigious kingdom? Our glorious kingdom is a relatively young one of a mere 1,000 years. Our origins are one of bloodshed, driven from our previous home by war. Our kind and benevolent king sought a new home. Landing on the shores of what would become the glorious Ashmere, our first king was gifted a magnificent land by the stars themselves, a fertile and lush region filled with nothing as far as the eye could see. On the ashes of his former land, he dubbed this new land Ashmere, a reminder of what was lost, and a celebration of a people rising from the ashes to start anew. Before long, the herbalist of the company of the king discovered an unknown flower, one that glowed bright in the moonlight. This could be like Tangled? Well, Rapunzel. This flower would become the crescent of our new nation. Strange occurrences would begin to occur around the flower. Wounds would heal quicker, fatigue would disappear, even age would appear to begin to reverse. Skylar felt the elf beside him tense. Everything the king said was a lie. Propaganda the kingdom told itself to justify the campaign of blood and fire. It was one he was used to hearing. Was it previously owned by the Fae? All efforts to protect this unique plant would be taken. Should its nature be discovered, our illustrious king feared for the safety of the new kingdom. And he was right too. Word spread of the flower, and war once more faced the people of Ashmere. Men not of mortal flesh had come for what was theirs. King sighed, clutching his heart with a theatrical despair. Many years it took to once more emerge victorious, but at a devastating cost. As fire ravaged the newborn kingdom, most of the fields containing this beloved flower were destroyed. What remained the king tasked the royal herbalist and arcanist to harvest and protect. Thus, construction of the crystal garden commenced. The only truth in any of this was the garden being built. Skylar wrinkled his nose, keenly aware that should anyone look in his direction, they would see naught but a snarling cat in response to the impassioned monarch. Beside him, he felt his befriended elf's hand close into a fist. It was comforting to meet a like soul. He spent his entire life at the palace pretending to accept their vision, their story. Queen had earned his respect, and her plan for change was one he wanted to support. He wanted to, and would have. Things had been different. Putting those thoughts aside, he scanned the crowd. Where was Olivia? Surely the king's precious daughter and Moonseer would be close by him. He rarely passed up on an opportunity to show her off, after all. There, just a few steps down. She looks nervous. I wanted to go to her and calm her nerves. I felt often unsettled to see her tense face he had known since her birth. Her mother almost gave birth in my laboratory, for goodness sake. He had sworn to Queen Vera he would protect and guide her. Vera was known to refer to him as Olivia's fairy godmother, a title he didn't quite understand, but one she assured was well suited to him. The king waffled on, giving a full and complete history lesson, as taught by the monarchy. When it came to the accomplishments and policies of Queen Alvia, the longest living of all the monarchs, Aemon might as well have waved his hand about and declared that she did nothing at all, glossed over the details as if they were unimportant. Of course, Queen Alvia died at the ripe age of 200, having seen 2 Moonflower festivals. Damn, Queen, get it! A festival she developed to bring the kingdom together between classes and peoples, and the first ruler to welcome Fae Kine, the very same queen his mother had served. On the 7th night of the festival, my precious daughter, our beloved and beautiful Princess Alvia, will use her skills to revitalize the Moonflower in ritual. Ah, here we go. A strange look passed over the king's face. He seemed unusually excited about something. What the fuck is this fucker planning? This will be our greatest of all festivals, with our greatest ever Moonseer. My princess will achieve what no other Moonseer before her ever could. The Moonflower. The hair on Skylar's body prickled and rose as the room plunged into darkness. Oh god, what the fuck? Olivia! Or Olivia? I'm saying Olivia, but is this supposed to be Olivia? Terrified shuffling and whimpers met his ears from all directions. The previously transfixed crowd succumbed to panic one by one, which only led to more agitation as they began to bump into each other, scrambling to get away. Please tell me I was wrong. Please tell me she's not going to die. None of them mattered to Skylar in the slightest, though. He dashed between the attendees, his cat eyes taking mere seconds to attune to the darkness. A single object lay before him. Objective: protect Olivia. Alvia. Olivia. I'm gonna say Olivia. Fuck, I'm messing myself up now. A flicker of pale green gently licked his cheeks as he reached the foot of the staircase. Do not interfere. A whisper in the darkness. A voice which held no hostility, but a powerful one nonetheless. A fae. Be gone! Olivia! Yeah. Oh my god, is it supposed to be Olivia? Oh my god, my brain has stopped working. I don't even remember what I was saying before. Oh my fucking god. The voice withdrew, seemingly satisfied their objectives were not the same. The felinist leapt over a final guest, his arms finding a solid purchase around the princess. As he yanked her backwards off the stairs, the young woman squealed in fear. Be calm, it is... Nika, what is going on? Okay, oh, she's fine. The terrified princess clung to him, nails digging into his flesh. I don't know, but you must calm yourself. Father! Where's father? I don't give a fuck. A slow building cackle sounded from where the king had stood moments before. Green flame erupted across the room. The faces of the nobles illuminated a sickly green. Their screams echoed through the room as the flames spread, flickering and dancing around the room, alive in a way fire should not be. Veil fire. A horrified Skylar stared at the figure before them, his grip tight on the struggling princess. The king was... He was... Now, what were you saying, your majesty? Oh my god, why is it kind of... Surely you are not about to make a grand declaration about the Moonflower in front of your adoring sycophants, were you? You were? My deepest apologies for interrupting you, then. The man mimicked the stance the king had previously held, arms wide open, reaching out to nothing. A manic smile plastered over his youthful face. Father! Nika! Where's father? The princess shook in his grasp, her anxiety visibly overwhelming her. Olivia? Another singular scream ripped through the ballroom, reverberating through the very bones of the crowd. Olivia. Oh no. Her eyes were fixated on a figure in front of her, gray and textured. A rough stone replica of the king set perfectly in place, His face, his clothes, his pose, an expression of pure terror were carved into the piece. Green-haired stranger snapped his attention to the princess. Princess! He whistled the title, elongating the sound as if it were a new word, never before said. Prettiest Princess Olivia! I would not touch that if I were you. You might. He pushed the stone sculpture beside him, watching it vaporize into a haze of dust and ash as it collided with the ground. Oh, fucking shit. Bro got fucking Thanos snapped. Break it. Whoops. The King of Ashes, Monarch of Ashmere. Literal ashes. How's that for a fitting end? You bastard! Her voice was hoarse and tense as she fought tears she didn't yet grasp the need for. The man gasped, playfully covering his mouth. Princess? Language? How unbecoming! What will your beloved High Alchemist think of you, with words such as those muttered from your innocent lips? Her body strained against Skylar, desperately attempting to reach the man taunting her. Olivia, listen to me. You must calm yourself. Let me go! And if I did, what then? What could you possibly do in this situation? Please, Olivia, think! I don't know. Her voice quivered, weak and unlike her. Whispers and murmurs started spreading through the silenced crowd, the gravity of the situation unsettling. A collective realization overtook the crowd, who desperately dashed for the exits. King was dead. A strange mage stood before them, mocking their princess. What would stop him from coming from them next? The aggressor stomped his foot on the stair. Green flames flickered under his boot. A puff of dust rose in a small cloud, glittering in the light of the flame. Ooh, dusty in here. What are your servants doing? Skylar frowned at the man. Oh, too soon. Once more, the fury attacker sent flames across the room, several gas lanterns exploding in the rear of the room. The panicked nobles collected in a huddle. Some broke out in whimpers, tears streaming down their faces, while others took stances for weapons that they did not carry. Do not give me such a look, Veronica. Do you expect me to believe you liked that buffoon? After the lies he just told these kind people... Wait, Veronica, what does Mother have to do with this? A dangerous glint in the man's eyes. He was ready for more destruction. In fact, I have just saved your precious princess's life. Wait, Nika? Veronica? May you hold your applause. I understand it's a confusing time for everyone. I knew something felt wrong tonight. Who is this cretin? The boy assumed a peculiar stance. Once Skylar himself had been in what had been 2 hours ago. He was dancing. Skylar took a deep breath, and without taking his eyes off the intruder, he called for another. Someone he felt he could trust. Sir Siddle, your princess needs you. Come. The intruder pulled a surprised face. He knew a Sir Siddle, that much became obvious. A frantic scramble sounded from the crowd, and moments later a frightened but determined young brunette appeared beside him. Yes, oh my god, Siddle, I love you! Save your princess! The man tilted his head in a slight confusion, puzzling out the young man before her. Guess he was unaware of the second son, just as I was. He's allowing this, though. What is his purpose? He murdered the king, but what now? He seems almost... bored. Olivia, I want you to stay with Wesley here. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? The girl's lip quivered as she nodded. Skylar gripped the knight's shoulder, leaving him with a new charge. I have to be smart about this. For her and everyone else. This is dangerous, and it could potentially get worse. I have to find a way to get us out of here in one piece. A room full of nobility, ministers, lawmakers, and townspeople all looked to him to save them as he stood before the fire wielder. Ah, silence. Finally. At least you citizens are fundamentally cognizant. You'll be able to understand what I'm about to tell you all. Skylar stared hard at the man before him. He wanted to demand his name, demand his reasons, but he knew that would be pointless. You have our undivided attention. Please, tell us. Ah, Veronica, you are always so polite. I can feel those cogs in your head whirling. I do not know how you know that name, but I respectfully request you cease. The intruder cackled. Who calls me that? Oh god, I thought that was gonna be him speaking. Who calls me that? I can only think of one, but... A look of sheer delight crossed the green-haired man's face as he brought a single digit to his lips to shush the alchemist. Whirling and whirling, my darling. Don't spoil it, though. That would be no fun at all. Enough! Put everyone out of their misery and tell us what you linger here to announce. You did have an announcement, I assume? Yes. These things take time, you see. Time to boil and bubble and reach their full potential. Where's the fun in rushing things? Skylar's deadpan face made the strange man roll his eyes in response. Very well, Veronica doesn't want to play, and the princess is in no condition to either. Skylar's body tensed at the mention of the princess. He was young, and the natural magics of his kind were still weak within him. He had to fight, he was not sure he could actually win. Not against Veilfire. The Moonflower? Damn, the epic zoom! The bumbling idiots you have the gall to call kings have all but killed it. So, I'm gonna take it from you. The crowd stole glances at one another, fear and confusion etched into their faces. Skylar kept his gaze trained on the figure. Take? The Moonflower? No, you can't! You can't take it! The royal gasped her words, struggling to compose herself. No one is asking for your permission. Besides, you should be thanking me, dear Princess Olivia. Your duty is done. Where's my gratitude? The man mocked sadness, pretending to cry. Ephilinus's ears twitched, a noise from beyond the door catching his attention. The mysterious assailant seemed to notice the slight movement himself. Do you hear that, Veronica? It seems I must leave you to these people. The Ming men and their shiny garbage cans have arrived. He mocks, but I would be willing to bet he couldn't defeat all of them right here, right now. This does not end here, friend. I would be disappointed if it did. Once more, the ballroom was plunged into darkness, gas lanterns flaring and exploding one by one down the walls. A shrill, piercing sound that resonated through the room forced the crowd to their knees. I thought his ears would begin to bleed if it didn't end almost immediately. Skylar hobbled in front of Olivia, and Wesley crouched beside her, hand hovering over the sword on his waist. He would be prepared to protect her at all costs, had the danger still remained. Thanks to the blessing of his sight, he could see the danger had passed. Despite his sight, however, he had not seen how the green-haired menace had left. As the lanterns began to reignite around the room, and the screams died down, the ballroom was filled with a sterile silence, a quiet Skylar was not used to hearing. Heavy sensations settled on his heart. Quiet only broken up by the occasional sniffle, rustle of fabrics, quiet sobs of confusion and fear grew louder and louder as the realization of what had happened sunk in. With the danger past, everyone knew it for sure. The king was dead. The princess wept for her father, tears streaming down her cheeks in disbelief. Taylor took a deep breath, releasing it slowly as he glanced back to the kneeling girl before him. Oh, whoa. A startled shriek escaped the crowd as continuous thumping sound vibrated through the ballroom. Guards. They took their time. Wesley nodded in response. I had wondered where they were. Why am I the only guard here? Father, he... Loud voice booming, called out to the group as the ballroom doors finally gave way. Wesley wrinkled his nose at the new addition to who strode into the room. Yes, it is, Father. A face quite familiar to that of Wesley, but older, more defined. A voice Skylar most definitely recognized. Sir Thane Siddle, knight and captain of the guard. While Skylar had little reason to interact with the man, unlike his younger brother, he was familiar with him. The man locked eyes with Skylar, making his way to the Felinus with an almost unsettling gusto, barking a few orders to his men as he went. His eyes grew wide as he took in the image of his younger brother, hand still hovering near his sword, beside the High Alchemist and Royal Princess. Oh! Okay, I know he's probably meant to be a dick, but hear me out. I can fix him. The king specifically demanded no guard present in the hall to answer your question. Not a decision I consider that I agreed with. Good hearing for a human. Later, you will tell me exactly what transpired here. For now, Sir Wesley. Yes! The young man sprang into action, his body rigid as a board. Escort Princess Olivia somewhere safe for now. We'll deal with the crowd and work on flushing our intruder out. He clenched his fist, a deep frown settling on his face. I don't know what he did to us, but it will not happen again. The guards were compromised then. Alchemy? Or more direct magic? Two men shared a nod of understanding. Everyone, please remain calm. We're about to get to the bottom of the situation. I promise. Like you promised to keep the king and the royal family safe? Is Princess Olivia next? Random voices began to scream out. Don't question why I did that. Their confidence growing with each tense second that passed. Quiet down, we will do our utmost to... No, but he's right. How about the young princess? How will you ensure her safety? Her safety? What about our safety? The townspeople began to argue with each other. They raised their voices in panic, screaming and shouting. Some in fear for the princess, but mostly for themselves. Every single one of them is seeking an advantage to this situation. Captain Thane tried to quiet their voices. There was no end to their bickering. Brother said to get the princess somewhere safe, but where could that be? Even the guards couldn't. Probably, you know, his laboratory. Anger flared across the face of the barely present princess. Her almost catatonic state allowing for few interactions. She does not like being babied. Wesley, do you know where my lab is? Yes, sir, I do. We shall return the... We need to go find him! Scatter scanned the girl with a sympathetic gaze. Shock, devastation, and anger clashed and struggled to be at the emotion to take hold of the defiant royal. Shaking on her feet, she stood before the knight and alchemist with a face that said she would not be defeated so easily. Are you going to let him escape? Just like that? Scattered across his arms, returning her angry scowl. The clatter of the crowd seemed distant to the trio. Skylar almost felt bad for the captain. Fielding the complaints and testimonies of so many tormented nobles sounded like the worst punishment to him. Skylar let out a sigh, placing a hand under the princess's chin, wiping her tears with his thumb. Let us return to my lab, Olivia. You have much to process. Staying here will do you no good. Wesley, please escort the princess. I'll join you momentarily. The young knight bowed deeply before ushering a suspiciously obedient Olivia out of the agitated ballroom. Fuck, she's gonna leave, isn't she? She's gonna sneak away. And we are actually going to save it here because we still have one more game to get through. Gonna make double saves. We're gonna go to the title. Yes, okay. That's gonna be a little bit of an abrupt ending, but quite frankly, I need the break. We still have another game that we need to play. And I need to eat some food. So we're gonna go ahead and call Moonflower here.